Flying cars. They're the symbol of the future, right? From Back to the Future to the Jetsons, everyone thought that by now we'd be zipping through the sky on our daily commute. Yet here we are, in 2024, still grounded, stuck in traffic, and wondering why on Earth, or in the air, we're not there yet. Movies promised it. Experts teased it. By now, we were all supposed to be floating above traffic, sipping coffee as we coast through the sky. But here we are in 2024, and guess what? We're still grounded. So, let's talk about that gap between imagination and reality. In theory, flying cars should solve everything. No more potholes, no more red lights, and no more merging lanes with people who forgot how blinkers work. But making a car that flies isn't just a snap your fingers and voila kind of deal. So what's the holdup? It turns out making a car that flies is a little more complicated than giving your Honda a pair of wings. Let's dive into why we haven't quite taken off yet. And spoiler alert, it's not just about technology. Let's start with the elephant in the room, physics. Cars are heavy, like really heavy. Your average sedan weighs about 3,500 pounds. So if you want that baby to take off, you'll need some serious power. Think of the thrust and fuel it takes for an airplane, and then try applying that to your SUV. And, oh boy, that fuel. Imagine stopping at the gas station to fill up your flying car. You'd probably have to sell a kidney to pay for it. Environmentally, it's a nightmare too. We'd be talking pollution levels that would make even the biggest gas guzzler on the road blush. But let's imagine that somehow, miraculously, flying cars do become a reality. Welcome to the skies, my friends. But wait, there's a catch. You're not alone up there. We're talking sky traffic on a level you've never imagined. Right now, air traffic is tightly controlled. Commercial pilots, air traffic controllers, and strict flight paths keep everything organized. Now, imagine adding hundreds, maybe thousands, of everyday drivers up there, all at once, darting around like pigeons who've just spotted a breadcrumb. So, enter EVTOLs, electric vertical takeoff and landing vehicles. The concept sounded like a cheat code for all these problems. No need for a runway, no complicated takeoff, just a vertical lift. Think drones, but bigger and way more expensive. Companies poured millions into this idea because it seemed like a way to leapfrog over traditional planes and make flying cars a reality. But here's the truth. Building these eVTOLs wasn't the hard part. The hard part was figuring out where they'd actually fly safely without becoming a high-flying bumper car festival. Plus, we need a whole infrastructure to support eVTOLs, charging stations, air corridors, dedicated landing zones. And who's in charge of policing that? Even if eVTOLs were ready to launch tomorrow, our skies would need a complete overhaul. That red tape alone could make an entire sky traffic network a reality in, who knows, another 100 years? Then, there's the fun part, safety. So let's imagine for a moment that you're in the sky, just flying along in your airborne minivan, when, bam, something goes wrong. If you break down in a regular car, you can pull over, call a tow truck, and wait. But in a flying car, a breakdown could mean a nosedive right into someone's backyard BBQ. And sure, we have parachutes for planes, but designing something crash-proof for everyday drivers? We're nowhere close to making that as safe as cruising down a freeway. Okay. But what if we actually get past the tech and safety hurdles? Well, then we're looking at a totally new problem. Traffic. Imagine every driver you've ever cursed at suddenly having access to the sky. You think merging on the freeway is bad? Now imagine merging in three-dimensional space, where people are zipping around with no lanes, no stop signs, and a million possible directions. It's like bumper cars, but you're at 10,000 feet. It's not just risky, it's a recipe for chaos. And here's a twist. If eVTOLs and flying cars did actually become mainstream, it wouldn't just shake up roads and skies. It could shake up entire industries. Airplane companies like Boeing and Airbus are watching this flying car craze closely, and here's why. If everyone can just hop in their flying car to travel between cities, why would you need a short-haul flight? Imagine a world where you don't have to wait in airport lines, no more security check nightmares, no squeezing into a plane seat like a sardine. Just a quick liftoff in your eVTOL, and you're on your way. If that happens, the airline industry would take a massive hit, especially on short domestic routes where people might just opt for their own personal jet, aka their flying car. Companies like Boeing and Airbus have a massive stake in keeping planes as our go-to for long-distance travel. They're investing in eVTOL tech too, not because they want us to stop flying commercial, but because they want a piece of the action if the skies get more crowded. They're bracing themselves because if eVTOLs take off, pun intended, traditional airlines could face an economic hit they might not recover from. Imagine air travel, a $600 billion industry, suddenly losing millions of passengers who now have their own airborne commute. Planes that once filled up with passengers traveling from LA to San Francisco could be flying half empty, and that's not sustainable for any airline. And then, there's regulation. Imagine every government needing to create rules not just for drivers, but for skydrivers. They'd need to build new air traffic systems, train specialized traffic controllers, and put laws in place to keep things safe up there. And knowing how government red tape works, that's going to be a huge undertaking. This isn't just a simple change, it's rewriting an entire infrastructure. You'd need a global agreement on rules, airspace laws, safety protocols. That red tape could stretch around the planet. Now let's talk money. When we think about buying cars, we might complain about rising prices, right? But flying cars? Think about millions. Because these aren't just cars, they're mini planes with the costs of a luxury yacht. Making them affordable? Well, that's where most manufacturers have to admit defeat. Now this brings us to a philosophical question. Do we even want flying cars? Sure, they look cool in movies, but in reality, we're dealing with noise pollution, massive energy consumption, and the possibility of, well, falling from the sky. Walking seems less dangerous, doesn't it? So, will flying cars ever happen? Maybe. But right now, we're still in the figuring it out stage. The tech is there, sort of, and companies are working on it, but there's a whole world of hurdles in the way. In the meantime, maybe we should just enjoy the ground beneath our feet and the sound of rubber on asphalt. The skies are exciting and all, but maybe we're not quite ready for flying cars. At least for now, we'll have to settle for watching them in movies and dreaming of a day when traffic jams might just be a thing of the past, up in the clouds. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. If you need more videos like this, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And let me know below in the comments, what do you think about the flying cars and why they are not mainstream yet? Thank you.